You're listening to the Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast with your host, Leticia Ringe, and this is episode number 1. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to our very first episode of the Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast. I'm your host, Leticia Ringe, and I am so excited to be here with you today. Thank you for listening. And right now, I'm going to share with you what the Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast is, who it's for, who we'll be hearing from, and just get to know each other a little better. So the Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast is a space that I've created to inspire, empower, and support people on the journey of discovering their truth and purpose in the world. Create a Life That Is Beautiful to me means creating a life that you love, enjoy, and are inspired by. And a big part of that is discovering your purpose. And usually discovering your purpose is something that eventuates as part of the process of creating a life you love, enjoy, and are inspired by. So on this podcast, I'm going to be sharing the stories of some of the amazing people I've met on my own journey who have created a life that they love, enjoy, and are inspired by. And in particular, work around what they love, enjoy, and are inspired by. And they'll be sharing how they discovered their purpose, how they got to be doing the work that they're doing today. And you're also going to be hearing from me from time to time to discuss specific tools that will support you on the journey of uncovering your truth and purpose in the world. So, why did I start this podcast? Well, the reason is that my big why that is behind everything that I'm doing is that I want to elevate my own consciousness and also the collective consciousness. And that's because I believe that if we elevate our consciousness from this space, we are able to make meaningful change like innovation and creation, and that will evolve our world, making it a more peaceful, loving, and abundant place to live. Part of that process of elevating my own consciousness has meant that I've become interested in how my actions affect our environment, how my actions affect the people around me, what the consequences are of my actions, rather than just focusing on what they are to my own life or self. It's also involved me surrounding myself with other people and messages that are also committed to elevating consciousness or who I consider to be high vibe. And this process in itself has also led me to realizing how important discovering purpose is and serving in alignment with your own individual purpose. So yes, I believe a very important piece of elevating our consciousness is discovering our individual purpose. I believe we were all put on this planet with a unique combination of skills, talents, and interests, or you might call them passions or even curiosity, and that our real purpose is to discover what our purpose and truth is and contribute to our world from that place. I have a blog post that you can find about finding your calling and serving at www.leticiaringe.com/purpose, which you might like to go and have a look at today to see how you can get started and to give you some more background on this topic. I believe that innovation and creation is so important to our entire world, to all of us, to all the people on the planet, to every physical being on our planet. And that's because when you have purpose and you're living in alignment with your own truth, you're able to create and innovate, and that is what creates change in our world. The other day, I was just pausing because I was just remembering something that I wasn't going to mention, but I will. The other day, I was listening to the Tim Ferriss podcast, and he had Sir Richard Branson on there, and they were discussing why alcohol can be so difficult for people and really stop them from achieving greater things in their life. And they were talking about that you need to have a fascinating life. You need to be high on life. And then things like alcohol, which are in my opinion, negative buffers that we have in our life, they won't take over you because you've got a bigger why. So that's just a little example. Some of you who follow me might know that actually throughout 2017, I actually myself gave up alcohol. And a big part of my journey to being able to do that, and honestly guys, it was effortless. And the reason I was able to do that though was because I had discovered what my big why was and what my purpose is in the world. And so nothing could stop me. I didn't want to have hangovers. I didn't want to spend all these hours just drinking. I wanted to do something else because I was so motivated. And that's what happens when you discover what your truth is. And so, yes, the conversations that I'm going to be sharing with you will show how our guests have come to do the work that they're doing in the world today. And you probably are already aware just how powerful stories are. They allow you to connect in a much more deeper way with a person, but they also show you possibilities. They're relatable. You pick what you resonate with, and then you feel empowered, inspired, and supported to take that journey too. So yes, all the guests on this podcast are people who I believe are innovating and creating in a way to elevate our collective consciousness, and that they're the people that I surround myself with. So it makes complete sense to me that they're the people that I would have on this podcast. And our conversations are going to cover many topics, from finding your soul's work, purpose, or calling, to health, personal growth, entrepreneurship, relationships, consciousness, spirituality, service, blogging, yoga, meditation, and so much more. Are you excited? I am. Well, before I go on, I think I should tell you a little bit about who I am. Well, I'm Leticia Ringe, as I introduced myself at the beginning of this episode. And, well, I'm just a woman who went from working as a lawyer and being really unsatisfied with the life I had created for myself, to then going on a journey of rediscovering who I even was, starting from the very beginning, and then to today, my work, which is as a life coach, writer, self-love activist, and now a podcaster. So yeah, I see myself as a creator who helps people with falling in love with themselves. And I believe that by falling in love with ourselves, we find better relationships, we find our purpose, and we're able to give up self-limiting beliefs or addictions that are getting us in the way of living in alignment with our truth. And so I do that through my one-to-one coaching, workshops, blog, this podcast. I also have a YouTube channel I'll be launching shortly. And also I have a weekly newsletter, which I like to call my love letter, where I share beautiful tips and inspiration for people who want to create a life that they love, enjoy, and are inspired by. But my friends, that wasn't always my work. Despite having the same intentions, which from the very beginning has always been to me to make the world a better place, I began my journey looking for purpose in the year before I left school, looking for answers outside of myself. And it wasn't until in 2015, actually, that I had a health scare and found myself needing to find another way. And that's when I came to discover all these other possibilities and options for myself that I had never considered. And for the first time, I started to consider options that centered around principles like less is more, fun, pleasure, flow, discovering what my values even were, and alignment. And this all started with me, as I've shared on my blog, listening to an episode on the Lively show with Jess Lively, who is one of my all-time mentors. And she was interviewing a woman named Elisa Vitti, who has written a book called The Woman's Code. And she also has a website called Flow Living. And it was all about connecting to your body and understanding as a woman the different powers that you have. And I was just fascinated. And from there, I just discovered another person, read another book, listened to another podcast, did a course, and I was obsessed. This just lit me up like nothing else. I will share more on my story later in a later episode, but I just wanted to show you that on this journey, it was scary, but my previous reality became unbearable. And so that discomfort then outweighed the risk of uncertainty that I found myself in. And on that journey that I took, I learned so much. And because I saw the improvements in my own life to my health, happiness, and fulfillment were so incredible, I felt that I had to share all I had learned with other people. And that was the catalyst to begin with motivating my launching of my blog and creating a streamlined process for other people to create a life that they love, enjoy, and are inspired by. So if you go to my blog, you'll see at www.leticiaringe.com/actions, I have 21 actions there. And these are all designed to help you on the path to creating a life you love, enjoy, and are inspired by. Our final action, action 21, was all about finding your calling or your soul's work. And all these actions built on one after the other. They're completely free. So if you're interested in having a look at what's there and maybe getting started to empower yourself on this journey, please check out those 21 actions and get started. I also, as I mentioned before, have a weekly newsletter, which I call a love letter, and I share other inspiration and tips in that space. So also please feel free to join us, and I call that our Create a Life That Is Beautiful tribe. And another option I have for you, which will be relevant to many people listening to this today, is a 5-day free training to help you get started discovering your purpose. And all you need to do to have access to that is sign up to my weekly newsletter and join our Create a Life That Is Beautiful tribe. So, my friends, helping people create a life that they love, enjoy, and are inspired by and discover their purpose is what I believe is my purpose. So the people that I hope this podcast will speak to or reach are those who might feel the desire to do something meaningful with their life and they want to make a difference in this world, but they've got no idea what that could be for them. Or you might be someone who is multi-passionate with so many interests that you just have no idea where to even get started. Trust me, I've been there. That was me when I finished school. And then, or you could be someone who doesn't even resonate with the word passion. Or you might have an idea, but no idea where to start. And you keep stepping in your own way and disempowering yourself. Or you might be feeling that you're just not living in alignment with your truth. And maybe you're like me and have just had some scare that has made you wake up and realize things need to change. And if you are in that category, I just want you to know that if you are feeling like you've hit rock bottom or that nothing is going right for you, that actually this journey that you've now been catapulted into could just be the best thing that ever happened to you, because it could be that wake-up call that you needed to step up into a better version of yourself and your life. So whoever you are, I just want you to know that you're not alone. And I know how difficult it can be to be in that space. It's so frustrating. I've been there. You'll hear from many of my guests that they have also been there too before. But I hope that by listening to these stories and being a part of this podcast tribe, that you will see the possibilities for yourself. So I wanted to just first let you in on a little secret as well. All the answers that you need to discover your purpose, your soul's work, your calling, your truth, all the answers, they already lie within you. You're not broken, you're not damaged, you're not a failure. The thing is, and we've all been trained to do this, is that we've been looking outside of ourselves instead of looking within. But through elevating your vibe, you attract a different tribe and energy and experiences into your life that will be in alignment with those higher vibe feelings like love, inspiration, and joy. To get you started today, I wanted to share some mantras that really have helped me on my own journey. One is start from where you are. Okay? So just give up thinking that you should be somewhere else in your life by this stage. There's no point worrying about that. It's not doing anything to serve you. In fact, it's probably a disservice to you because it's probably making you not want to do anything. So remind yourself to start from where you are. That's a big part of self-acceptance. My other mantra for you is, I am already enough. So repeat that to yourself. I am already enough. There is nothing outside you that can add anything to you. Honestly, everything is already within you. Everything that you need to live your best, most fulfilled life possible. And the last mantra that I want to leave with you today is, I get what I want. Okay? It's time to empower yourself. You create your own reality. And if you start focusing on what you want rather than what you don't want, or the lack of what you want in your life, you will start to notice that opportunities present themselves that are in alignment of the things that you truly, deeply want within you. Now, there's more than one way, of course, to do something. And that's why I've asked my guests for advice to help those people that I'm hoping this podcast will reach. And so I want to ask you, how would it feel to be able to say or see or view your work in the world as not something that you do to be able to survive or that is a struggle, but instead you see it as something that lights you up? How would that feel? How would you feel to be so inspired about the work you do? How would you feel to want to work and love working and experience joy through the work that you do? How would that feel? If that sounds like something you're after, then join me with the podcast. Today, you'll have 2 other episodes after this episode, and they will be interviews. Going forward, the podcast will run weekly. So 1 week from today, you'll have our next episode. And for the first 2 interviews, I wanted to just share who I am speaking to. First up, on episode number 2, we have my friend Anushka Florence of the Goddess Space. And Anushka runs this space, which is the Goddess Space, which is a physical and digital sacred space for women to reconnect to their truth, remember who they are, and feel heard, supported, inspired in circle with other women. And in episode 3, we have my dear friend Lauren Barber, who is a female empowerment coach, business mentor, yoga teacher, and well-being expert, supporting creators as they rise. Both of these interviews are so incredible. They are jam-packed with amazing tips, and you're going to be so inspired. I have no doubt about that. I did want to share with you that one thing for me, stepping out and doing this podcast, has been overcoming my fear of public speaking. Now, you might be thinking, well, Leticia, this isn't really a public speaking forum because you're not recording these interviews in front of anyone except for the interviewee. Well, my friends, it doesn't matter. For me, I love public speaking. I absolutely adore it, but I also have an irrational fear when it comes to public speaking, and that's been with me for all of my adult life, actually. And it's something I needed to deal with when I would be in court representing clients. Obviously, I'd get over it. But it's still to this day, despite so many ways of trying to get over it, it's still something that I struggle with. And so I just wanted to share that with you because I want you to know that I too am putting myself out there in this, even just in this forum. And in our episodes, I've not edited very much, and you'll notice that I am nervous in some of them. And I just wanted to share those with you because it's really important when we are stepping up and stepping outside of our comfort zone in a certain way to make sure that we're striving for practice rather than perfection. That's something that will really allow you to improve, and is actually something that I learned through Pat Flynn, who has an amazing podcast called the Smart Passive Income Podcast. And he also has a free tutorial all about how to get your podcast up and running, which helped me immensely getting this podcast out to you today. And that was one of his tips, is don't edit. You don't get better by editing. So just keep practicing, and over time you'll get better and better. And that is a great, that can be applied to anything in life. So I just wanted you to know that, and for me to share something a little bit vulnerable so that you know that this isn't easy for me either. Okay, moving on. To help this episode reach as many people as possible that it needs who might be struggling with the topic of discovering your purpose, it's really important that you subscribe and also rate and review this podcast, whether that be on iTunes or Stitcher, wherever you're downloading it and able to leave a review. That would be wonderful. And please, could you go that extra step and share the podcast with anyone you know who is struggling with this topic? We really do need to share more. And please let them know that I also have a free video training, and all they need to do is sign up for my weekly newsletter and they'll have access to that. So, my friends, are you ready to create a life you love, enjoy, and are inspired by? Are you ready to discover your purpose and serve our beautiful world and all the people who inhabit it in alignment with your truth? Well, if you are, please subscribe, listen to the next 2 episodes, come back in a week to listen to our next one, and every week thereafter. Sign up for my newsletter at www.leticiaringe.com/subscribe. And you can also follow me for daily inspiration on Instagram and Facebook at Leticia Ringe. And now, join me on episode number 2 with my friend Anushka Florence of the Goddess Space. Have a wonderful week, my friend.